Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher, welcome to my world, and welcome to another one of my Jack Quick Reacts videos. None of this is scripted, so yeah, I'm gonna stutter a lot, I'm gonna go off on a rant a lot, I'm gonna sound really mannequin at times, but I promise it's for a good reason because I just got back from seeing The Marvels. Now, of all the Marvel movies that I've had on my list, and I see all of them, this was one I definitely had at the top of my list when it was announced. I know it's gotten delayed a few times for forces beyond its control, but as someone who just really loved the first Captain Marvel movie, as someone who's been a fan of Carol Danvers, of Kamala Khan, pretty much everything related to Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, everything in between, this movie was definitely a top priority for me. So of course I reserved my tickets the night it came out. Of course I was going to go out of my way to see it, and of course I didn't really pay much attention to the shit that goes on with Rotten Tomatoes or the YouTube critics or the anti-woke grifters or the assholes who review bomb every Marvel movie or everything Brie Larson is related to. You know what? Fuck those people. Fuck them. They don't matter. This movie is one of those movies that you come out of it more energized than when you went in. It was definitely a movie that had me in awe and just dazzled from start to finish. Now, before I go any further, though, before I start getting into some details, just so you know, I'm probably going to touch on a few spoilers. Again, none of this is scripted, so there's a good chance something's going to slip in. So if you don't want to hear what happens, here's your chance to click away. Totally understand, but seriously, even if you have been spoiled so far, this is definitely a movie worth seeing. This is a movie that doesn't just expand on the first Captain Marvel movie. It doesn't just expand on what's been going on in the MCU, going all the way back to Avengers Endgame. This is a movie that really does flesh out these characters, not just Carol Danvers, but also Kamala Khan, also Monica Rambeau, aka Photon, and it builds on everything in a meaningful way, and it also answers some burning questions that haven't really been resolved since Avengers Endgame. Questions like, why did Carol never come back to Earth? Or what happened to the other bank? What happened with the Skrulls? Why has she been struggling? Why haven't they found a homeworld yet? And what happened to the Kree? What went on with them after the events of the first Captain Marvel? Those are all answered in this movie, and those answers, they do matter. They matter a lot, especially with respect to the main antagonist of this movie, the main villain, Dar-Benn, who's played by Zawe Ashton. Now, if you probably don't, Dar-Benn is a character from the comics, not a very high-profile villain. She's no Thanos. She's not really even on the same level as Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy. But I got a feeling after this movie, Dar-Benn's profile is going to definitely be raised, because I admit, when this movie began, I really didn't care much for her. She was one of those villains that, even as much as I follow the comics, I admit I don't know much about Dar-Benn. I've heard of her, don't know anything about her. But I gotta say, once this movie got to the midpoint, once we, after some of the action kind of slowed for a bit, we learned who Dar-Benn was, why she's doing what she's doing, and how much more she is willing to do. It is, and I gotta say, she really grew on me. She became more and more compelling throughout the course of the story. Now, not to say she's definitely not the most sympathetic villain, but she's not the most she's not the high evolutionary. She's not someone who you just really end up hating. But she's not just a tragic figure like Eric Killmonger or anything like that. She is someone, she has a reason for why she's doing this, and that reason ties directly back to Captain Marvel and what Carol did after the events of the first Captain Marvel movie. So just a kind of a brief premise. What happened was, at the end of the first Captain Marvel movie, she basically said she was going to take the fight back to the Kree. They took everything from her. They took her memories. They took so much, and she went back to the Kree homeworld of Hala, and she wanted to end it. She wanted to end the war that the Kree had been raging for so long, and she thought that by taking out the supreme intelligence, which is the big AI that rules the Kree Empire, and that, by the way, supreme intelligence, that's straight from the comics. She thought destroying that would somehow end the fighting, but all it did was create this chaotic power vacuum that didn't just throw all of Kree society into chaos. It damaged their planet. It damaged their sun. It did so much destruction. And Dar-Benn, she made it personal. She doesn't just want to heal her world. She wants to make every other world pay for it. And how she goes about it is pretty damn cruel, especially when you find out what she did to some of the Skrull refugees, especially when you found out what she did to a whole host of other planets. It all ties into this really vast cosmic conflict that involves like holes being torn through space, stars and planets being destabilized. The stakes are very high and very cosmic in nature. Much higher, I would argue, than what happened in the first Captain Marvel. But I say the stakes are raised just at just the right level to the point where Carol, she definitely can't do this alone. In fact, for a good first half of the movie, Carol, Kamala, and Monica get their butts kicked like a lot. They fail a whole lot through a good chunk of this movie. So anyone who criticizes these Carol Danvers for being too powerful is totally full of shit, because this movie establishes that it's not Carol's power that's really at the source. That's really secondary, because it's what she does with it. It's the choices she's made that have put her in this position. And it's not a good position. She definitely carries some burdens for what she's done. She knows on some levels that she's responsible for what's happening to all these worlds. She might not have intended for all this to happen when she destroyed the supreme intelligence, but it's still her responsibility. It's still her choice to try to fix all this. She thinks fixing all this will end all this destruction, but she's already learned what happened the last time she tried that, and Dar-Benn is kind of a consequence of it. And she can't beat Dar-Benn on her own. So this is kind of where Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan come in. And I know in previous stream videos I've said I am a diehard Miss Marvel fan. I've been a fan of Miss Marvel since her debut comic. And so of course, I got to say, of course, I think Kamala Khan stole the show here. But seriously, Iman Vellani just embodied this character so perfectly. The way she carried herself, she is literally Kamala from the comics. She is an unapologetic fangirl. She loves superheroes. She strives to be a hero, but she gets caught up in this cosmic conflict. She's very in over her head, and some of the details from the Miss Marvel TV show do come into play, but this is actually a movie where you don't need to have seen any episodes of the Miss Marvel show. You don't even need to have seen WandaVision, which is where Monica Rambeau was introduced. This movie nicely explains all those details. You learn who these characters are pretty succinctly. It's very concise in that regard. So you don't. So if you're worried that you've got to have a Disney Plus subscription to follow what's going on in this movie, you don't. These characters definitely kind of speak to themselves and hold their own. But if anyone really steals the show, it's definitely Miss Marvel. She is kind of she's the wide-eyed idealist who kind of balances Carol out a little, who was kind of in a dark place when this movie began. She's kind of been in a dark place since the first Captain Marvel, because she had her memories wiped. She had her life basically stolen. And then, of course, she finds out that Monica's mother, Marie, who she was very close to, had died when after the Thanos snap. So, yeah, she's carrying a lot of burdens. And Kamala Khan definitely sort of helps level her out. She definitely brings out the best in Carol. She definitely brings out the best in Monica, too. Monica Rambeau she's another... She's also definitely a character that grew on you as the movie went on. And she is someone who, she clearly tries to be more of the professional of the team. She works closely with Nick Fury, who of course has a big role in this. And she tries to essentially keep everything, by the book, so to speak. But she gets kind of sucked into Kamala's idealism, and she kind of you get the sense that she's never really dealt with the death of her mother and Carol being gone for so long. And even after she finds out why, even if she finds out that Carol had a good reason for staying away, it still really hits her hard. And it's just, the dynamics between these three is just so perfectly done from start to finish. The way they interact, just the way they stand out, it's just beautiful. And it's just so much fun to watch from start to finish. I mean, that is another thing about this movie that stands out. It's not just beautiful from a spectacle point of view. It's just fun. It's a really fun movie that has plenty. It takes you to so many exotic locations. You get to meet a bunch of different aliens aside from the Kree and the Skrulls, and of course, even Kamala's family shines a few times. But also, one other thing before I forget, if you're a cat lover, you will definitely find something to love about this movie. I don't want to spoil it entirely, but Goose the cat from the first Captain Marvel does make a comeback, and I just say Goose and the rest of the Flurkins, as they're called, they play a pivotal role later on in this movie, and trust me, you will know it when you see it. And again, if you're a cat lover, you will be in paradise. But beyond that, beyond just the things for cat lovers and the dynamics from the characters, the movie, it works so well on so many levels. It's a movie that it feels like the best, like it has all the best traits you would want in a Marvel movie. It's the kind of, it's not, it also has its own style. This is not a movie that tries to be too much like the Avengers, or it doesn't try too much to be like a Captain America movie or an Iron Man movie. It really and it even tries to be somewhat, it feels more like an evolution from the first Captain Marvel movie. And by the end, you get the sense all these characters, they're in a better place. They're in they've grown, and they all they really have embraced what it means to be superheroes. And it's just, it's the best you can it's the best you can hope for out of a superhero movie these days. And there are some there are some flaws in the movie. I won't deny that. You can definitely tell there are certain parts that feels like they're missing a few moments here and there that would have been helpful. But overall, the movie is really tight. It's shorter than most Marvel movies, but it feels complete. It definitely feels like a fun ride from start to finish. It hits the ground running, and it doesn't slow down until the very end, and even after the end. This is something else. You might have already known. Yes, this movie does have a post-credit scene, and that post-credit scene is definitely going to get people talking. Don't want to say what it is. Don't want to spoil it. But I'll just say it is very uncanny. And I promise you, if you know why that word matters, I don't want to say it anymore, because it's just that good. And it definitely sets the stage for some future Marvel movies that are sure to garner plenty of attention. But just overall, I actually found myself enjoying this movie more than I did the first Captain Marvel movie. And I loved that movie. That's probably one of the Marvel movies I rewatched the most. But The Marvels is it was just a fun, enjoyable movie on every level. Definitely check it out. Even if you didn't like the first Captain Marvel movie, you should check this out, because this one definitely builds on everything that's great that we've come to expect from Marvel Studios. So yeah, I love The Marvels. I can't wait to see it again, and I can't wait to see where it leads. So this has been another edition of Jack Quick Reacts. Thank you all very much. Thank you for joining me in my world. And until next time, everyone, take care and stay safe.